All right, welcome folks to our virtual college explorations week for all New Jersey students. We are going to go over some housekeeping things first, and then we will turn over to our presenter today. If you would like to ask any questions, you can use the Q&A button to type your questions to the presenter at any time. Just notice that your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see you during this presentation, so you will need to ask your questions through the Q&A button. You can always sign up for more sessions that are going on this week, and our schedule is at njacac.org/virtualfair. And a recording of this session and all sessions will be available 1 week after the sessions, and you can find that at our website, njacac.org/virtualfair. I am going to turn it over, and we will hear from UCD.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. I'm going to pull up my presentation for you guys and we can get started. All right, here we go. Well, thank you guys for coming today. My name is Kendall Hook and I am with the University College Dublin. We're located in Dublin, Ireland, but I am here in the US. I'm based in New York, but I work with all of our students and counselors from New Jersey all the way down to Florida on the East Coast. So I'm here to give you a general overview of studying in Ireland, but more specifically, what you may be interested in at University College Dublin. So why might you even consider Ireland? Why Dublin? Well, first and foremost, it really is everything that you probably have heard it to be, from your friends, your family, the media, movies. It really is an incredibly safe, friendly, and welcoming country. It's often named the world's friendliest country. The Global Peace Index typically ranks it between the 10th and 12th safest country in the world. And everyone truly is super friendly. It is a globally connected and multicultural society. So you are going to find companies from all across the world that are headquartered in Dublin. So that attracts people from all over the world to come to Ireland to conduct their business. It is English speaking. So academically, you don't have to be concerned. All of your classes will be in English. But I think what is pretty cool is you still get that cultural immersion, and you will hear Gaelic and see Gaelic written, which is their native language. But academically, everything is in English. It's obviously an incredibly beautiful country. You can get to the coast, to the mountains, to the countryside, to the urban areas. You can do that all within just hours. It's super easy to get around. It's a very walkable city. Dublin is. So you can really get a taste of everything that you could want very close together. Most importantly, the universities in Ireland, all of them are ranked within the top 1% to 2% worldwide. So all of our degrees are internationally recognized. So that means that when you go to UCD, you come back with a degree that means something. Dublin itself is ranked in the top 10 best student cities in the world. There's always something to do. Over half of Ireland's international students are in Dublin, and Dublin has an extremely young demographic. I mean, a majority of people in Dublin are under 32 years old or so. So there's always something happening, a very vibrant life for college-age students. As I mentioned earlier, Dublin is the European headquarter capital for all of the EU. So you have companies like Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and Airbnb. They're all located in Dublin, which makes an incredible networking opportunity. So UCD specifically, we were founded in 1854, so we are one of Ireland's oldest universities. We're not the oldest, but we are up there, and we are ranked in the top 1% of the world's universities. We are the largest and the most international in Ireland. So we have about 29 to 30,000 students, and about 30% of them are international. So comparing that to a US university, most US universities have maybe 10% or so international students, and we have 30, which is pretty incredible. We have a comprehensive range of degree programs. So I say A to Z, we have everything from architecture to zoology. You're going to find something that appeals to you. Just a tidbit that I think is pretty interesting. We're known as Ireland's national university, and we've educated over half of Ireland's prime ministers, which is a pretty big deal. And we are the largest urban campus in Europe. We're set on 350 acres, just 2.5 miles south of Dublin in the Embassy District. So I have a little video for you that can give you a snapshot of Dublin and UCD. Let's see if this works.
A welcome awaits you in Ireland, where we're famed around the world for our Céad Míle Fáilte, where miles of coastline meet miles of smiles, music, culture and fun, where we even have our own word for fun.
Crack.
Crack.
Crack?
Crack. A welcome awaits you in Dublin, a safe, English-speaking European capital city.
A warm UCD welcome awaits you at University College Dublin, Ireland's global university based on a large parkland campus in Dublin's Embassy Belt.
The first choice destination for international students in Ireland.
Where the International Student Society is one of the biggest and most active on campus.
Along with over 130 student societies and sports clubs.
So you can really get involved and make friends from all over the world.
Where we debate the world's big issues.
Where your safety is our priority.
Where there's hundreds of acres of space to explore.
And we're committed to giving you the best possible campus learning experience.
Blended with accessible distance learning tools and options.
Where 42% of the faculty are international.
And we foster a mindset of integration of different cultures across campus.
Where a dedicated global experience team is here to help you get started.
And safe, modern residences to make you feel at home.
Where we're all set to give you a Céad Míle Fáilte.
Where all that's missing is you. We look forward to welcoming you to your university, University College Dublin.
A welcome awaits you in Ireland.
All right. So I hope that gave you a little snapshot of UCD and the welcome that awaits you there. That is a brand new video that we think really captures the essence and the friendliness of campus pretty well. So as you can probably see in the video, our campus is very similar to a traditional US campus with all of the amenities that you're typically used to seeing. We have libraries throughout campus dedicated to different academic disciplines. We have student support services and academic support services as well. So whether that's counseling, career services, math tutoring, writing tutoring, we definitely have a ton of supports built into campus life for all of the students on campus. For housing specifically, you can see a little photo on the left-hand side of the screen, but we have really great accommodations on campus, and we have about 3,000 plus students on campus every year. Many of them are first-year students, and we do guaranteed housing for first-year incoming international students. For our accommodations, they are a little bit different than your typical dorm rooms in the US. You actually have private bedrooms. So they're more apartment style where you share common facilities like a kitchen and a little living area and bathrooms with a smaller group of students. typically maybe 3 to 4 other students, but you have your own bedroom with a twin bed and wardrobe and desk. So you do have that level of privacy for studying. All of our residents have food stores, laundry, mini gyms, so they're pretty nice, and we are also rapidly expanding. So we should be adding a couple thousand more beds to campus in the next several years. As you can see here, here's a few more photos. We are a more modern campus. So although we're one of Ireland's oldest universities, we do have a more modern campus with awesome amenities, and it feels pretty similar to a state school here in the US, if you need a point of comparison. So as I mentioned, we have about 30% international students on campus at UCD, which is over 7,000 students from 140 countries. We are the most international university in Ireland, and of that population of international students, the majority do come from the US. So here's an example of one of our really cool facilities for international students and Irish students alike. So of the clubs and societies that are on campus, we have 140 of them. So there's a group for everyone, whether you're looking for a drama club or you want to learn how to play soccer, there's something for everyone. But one of the most active is the International Student Life Group. So whether it's students from all over the world, the US, but also Irish students, they all come together in this global lounge. This is always buzzing with activities. This is just an example of some of that we host through the year, particularly for the US students. But there's Thanksgiving that we host, Super Bowl parties. I mean, we really try to make US students feel at home. So, as I mentioned, we have every possible degree you could probably imagine, A to Z. And here are examples of the colleges that our programs fall under. So what's important to note and what's unique about going to school in Europe, and specifically at UCD, is that there are many 3-year degree options. So all of our degree options do fall under these particular colleges. And the reason why they can be 3 years is because we don't have general education requirements like US universities typically do. So if you want to major in engineering, you will never have to take another English class again. And if you want to be an English major, you never have to take another math class again. So this means that you typically apply directly to the program that you want to study. So you apply directly to study English at UCD, you apply to the engineering program, you apply to the political science program, and you can apply to up to 4 programs. What I want to highlight is although we have many 3-year degree options, we do have a program that is very popular with the US students, and it's called the Liberal Arts and Sciences program, and you can see it at the very bottom here. This Liberal Arts and Sciences program builds in a year of flexibility for you if you don't know what program you ultimately want to pursue. So you will curate a year of classes with an advisor between a couple of different subjects that you're interested in. So maybe you're interested in law, history, and political science. You can take that year to test it out and try all 3 of those subjects. And then at the end of your first year, that's when you specify and you say, okay, I want to do history, or okay, I want to do international relations. So you have that time, and it does extend your degree by 1 year. So if it is typically a 3-year program, then it makes it a traditional 4 years. There are a couple of different ways to apply. So of course you can apply directly on our UCD website, or you can apply via Common App. I would say the majority of the US students do apply by Common App because it is super easy to add us into your selection there. A unique part about applying to UCD and European universities in general is that we primarily focus on academics. So we're not as much concerned with the essays or the letters of recommendation or your references. It really does boil down to academics. so your GPA or your standardized test scores, AP scores, things like that. As I mentioned, you can apply to up to 4 programs. And right now, I will say in relation to the academic piece of admissions and standardized testing, is that we are working on being as flexible as we can with students who may not be able to take their standardized tests yet. So if you have a particularly concerning situation, please do email me directly and I can give you more specifics about how the programs that you may be interested are being flexible to accommodate you. Regardless, we don't want that to prohibit you from applying. So please do still apply this fall, even if you haven't taken those tests. If anything, there can be a conditional offer extended pending certain requirements are met in the spring or early summer. So for deadlines, our applications are already open. They opened this week on October 1st, and we are technically rolling admission until July 1st. It takes a roughly 4 to 6 week turnaround decision to get those back to you. And this priority deadline of December 1st that you see here, this is not binding, it's not early action, it's not any commitment, but really it's just a suggestion if you want to apply to scholarships. Our scholarships are due the scholarship applications are due in February. And you have to have an offer from UCD to be able to apply to those. So we recommend applying by December 1st because then that gives us the buffer to turn around your admissions decision to you prior to scholarship deadlines in February. Here is a general snapshot of admissions requirements. These are not necessarily hard and fast because some of these are by averages of colleges rather than specific program, but this can give you a good idea of what they generally look like. On our website, we are fully transparent with our admissions requirements. So there isn't a guessing game, truly. And I'm happy to send you the link if you want to take a further look and a deeper dive into specific requirements for the programs you're interested in. So the average cost of attendance to go to UCD for a year is roughly $36,000 to $42,000 per year. So what that means is that's tuition and cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is an extra cost of living expenses. So like housing and possibly travel and your food and your books. So this is an estimate of all in. As you can see, we are a little more expensive than staying in state in your home state. But we are a little bit more affordable than going out of state or to a private institution. We do accept FAFSA and US federal aid loans. So if you have completed that FAFSA, you'll have to complete a little bit of extra paperwork for UCD, but we do take that as well as US benefits. We have many scholarships available for international students specifically, and they range between 10 to 100% of your tuitions and fees. The lesser amounts range between $3,000 to $7,000, and you are typically considered for those upon application. So when you get your admissions decision back, that's when you'll be notified of some of the smaller amounts that we offer. The big ones that are due in February range from 50 to 100% tuition, which is really big and amazing, but it's also competitive. And here's a snapshot of our students from last year, or who are entering in 2019 actually. So our class of 2020 averages have gone up slightly, but you can see here generally what states our students come from and what they're typically hoping to study. So I'll leave that up here for just a second. All right. So that concludes my presentation. Let me turn on my video. I hope that gave you a snapshot of UCD. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And feel free to chat them in the Q&A. I think I answered many frequently asked questions during my presentation. I would say the most common question that we've been getting is about that test flexibility. And in general, I would say that the programs that are going to have the most flexibility will be in the arts and sciences, particularly that liberal arts and sciences program. Those are programs that will hopefully be GPA only, but we're currently working on solidifying that before we get it on the website. I would say of all the programs, there could be some that still require some additional test scores. So those would probably be the programs with STEM subjects. So biology, computer science, etc. So we have a question about the benefit of applying earlier in October versus December 1st. And there isn't a benefit one way or the other outside of learning your admissions decisions sooner. So if you really want to know right away, then applying earlier is always better, especially with the Common App, because that's super easy. But if you wait until December 1st, it won't make a difference. So if you want to focus on other applications first and then come to ours, that is totally fine. But I would say that after December 1st, then it would start to make a difference because you're eking closer towards that scholarship deadline, and you don't want to miss that if that's something you're interested in. And although we are rolling admission until July 1st, there is a possibility that some programs may fill to capacity. So we've seen that, for example, in computer science, they have filled to capacity in the winter. But I would say for the most part, there still is typically some sort of space for our US students through July 1st. So we have a question about need-based components. And all of our scholarships are academic merit-based. I would say some other questions that we typically get are about housing options. And all of our international students are on campus that first year. And I would say the makeup is typically about 50% international and 50% Irish. So you have a good mix in there. So in your flat, we just recently talked to a student and she is sharing her flat with 2 Irish students and a student from New Zealand, which is pretty cool that you get the mix of students from other countries as well as local students too. So for housing, we have a question about first year housing, and we do venture to guarantee all of our first year international students housing on campus. There are several different housing options, but they all are generally located in the same area of campus, and it's only about a 15 to 20 minute walk max to the farthest end of campus. I would say that the years after that are not guaranteed, but culturally, it's very typical for students to make friends on campus that first year and then move off campus into Dublin with a group of students into private apartments. So we do have students who are on campus of all different years, but it is most common for students to live off of campus for years 2, 3, possibly 4. So the medical program is a pretty unique program at UCD, especially for US students, because medicine is not often, you're not able to study medicine as an undergrad in the US, but you can at UCD. So I would say the medical requirements are higher than some other programs that you'll find. It's pretty stiff competition. But as an undergrad, we do have a 6-year medical program where after 6 years, you can then practice medicine. So it really can, if you know you want to go into medicine, it can fast track you so you don't have to go to medical school after your undergrad degree in the States. Typically for medicine, it does also require an interview. So I'm happy to, if you want to email me, I will put, there's no chat box. My information is on the website, and I'll receive your emails as well for being participants. So once you have that, I'm happy to connect with you about the specific requirements about medical programs or whatever program anyone might be interested in. But yes, the medical program in particular does have some extra components outside of standardized test scores, GPA, etc. UCD does not require a resume. We have a question about that, and a CV or resume is not required for our application. Just while we're on the topic of programs, I would probably, just to give my 2 cents, I would say that the most popular programs tend to be English literature. We are ranked highly in the world for English lit. That's very popular. Biology is very popular. Politics is really popular. We have a really neat institute called the Clinton Institute, which was set up at UCD by President Bill Clinton. So that institute, it focuses on American politics particularly. So that's a pretty unique subject to UCD. Biology is very popular at UCD as well. And then the unique programs, especially for US undergrad students, is our law program, medicine, and vet med. So if you're interested in veterinary science or medical school or law school, UCD does have programs that undergraduates can study that can either be a stepping stone to then apply for graduate school in those subjects afterwards, or we have options that would allow you to practice at the end of your studies at UCD. Particularly for law school, you would have to first take a look to see what states you would like to practice in, because there's only a handful of states that would permit you to take the bar with an international degree, but it is possible. I would just recommend that you double check that. On the note of graduate degrees, everything from UCD is fully transferable to study in the US for graduate school and should be recognized. The only 2 exceptions to that would be nursing and education. Nursing and education in particular, because there are certain credentials that you have to pass in the US to get your certifications for those subject areas. So those would not be as easily transferable, but everything else at UCD, fully transferable and recognized. I would just say and the advice that I would give any student, whether they were going to UCD or someplace in the US, is to just look through the graduate programs that you're interested in and what their requirements are, and pick a program at UCD that best aligns with those requirements for the graduate study program that you're interested in. So I would say, it does sound kind of scary to pick a program and it be so regimented, but UCD does provide flexibility with electives. So for instance, if you want to do veterinary science, and you want to apply to vet school back in the US, there's a couple different programs that you might consider. You might consider animal science, you might consider zoology, or you might consider the veterinary science program at UCD. They are very regimented, but we do build in the flexibility to take electives. So if you want to apply to vet school back in the US and all of them require an English class, then it's still possible to slide that in. You can take classes in other programs at UCD, but just double check the requirements at the schools that you're interested in for graduate studies to make sure you're checking the boxes along the way that you need to. If you have questions about specific programs, please feel free to email me. If I don't have the answer, I would definitely get that answer for you. And I'm happy to send you information about that program specifically and helpful links. If you want to go ahead and email me before I get your email, my email is Kendall, KENDALL .hook, HOOK, at UCD.IE. And I'm happy to set up a one-on-one with any of you to talk about specific programs or send you all the links that you need or connect you to that specific academic department. Well, I have a question about aid for flight some aid or scholarships for flights to Ireland. And we currently don't have, UCD doesn't have specific scholarships just for flights, but I would recommend checking out education abroad. Education in Ireland. Education in Ireland, they have outside scholarships with their Generation Study Abroad grants that could help with offset some of those costs. But I just also want to point out that Aer Lingus in particular, especially if you're on the East Coast here, Aer Lingus has pretty affordable flights to Ireland. It's cheaper sometimes to get to Ireland than it is to California. It's also quicker. So it is a pretty affordable European ticket in comparison to flights to some other European cities. But I would recommend looking at some of those outside scholarship options because some of them do provide grants for some of those additional out-of-pocket expenses. I also frequently get a question about visas. I can't really speak to non-US passport holders, but if you are a US passport holder, you do not need a visa to study in Ireland. So there's no extra hoops for you to jump through. You can book a ticket and get on the plane the next day. There is an alternate process once you get there to register your stay with the government, but you don't require a visa before you go. And on that note, Ireland also has a really cool stay back program. So if you graduate, from a university in Ireland, you can stay back for up to 2 years to work, which that is pretty unique too, because many countries, once you're done with your program, you have to leave because your visa expires. But Ireland really encourages their graduates from all different countries to stay and work. All right, if there are no more questions, again, you all are welcome to contact me anytime. I'm happy to connect you to information about specific programs, and I really appreciate you guys stopping in to hear a little bit more about UCD. Thank you all.
Great, thank you so much for joining us today. Just want to do a little housekeeping. Again, thanks again for jumping into this session. When this closes down, you will have a quick 4-question survey appear. If you would like to sign up for more sessions, you can do so at njaacac.org/virtualfair. And again, the recordings will be available on that same website about a week from now. And if you do have any additional questions for Kendall, she'll get your contact information and be able to reach out to you so you can communicate with her from here. So thanks so much for joining us and have a great night.